We have some new poll numbers from Pew Research, and this is a nightmare for President Trump across the board. So they found that 63% of Republicans say they feel angry about the state of the U.S., while nearly 78% of Democrats report the same. Angry. 63% of Republicans. 56% of Republicans say they are fearful about the state of the country, while 75% of Democrats report the same. More than half are fearful. Only 1/4 of Republicans told Pew that they felt proud when thinking about the country in its current state. Only 1/4 of Republicans. And then it says, flashback, 74% of Americans said in an AP and ORC, Center for Public Affairs Research poll earlier this month, that the country is heading in the wrong direction, including 63% of Republicans, up from 42% in May. So 74% say the country's heading in the wrong direction. In May, it was only 42%. Okay, now, I think I saved this biggest stat for last. This one's just, I'm floored at this. So they go on to say, quote, until June 30th, Republican satisfaction with the state of the country had stayed above 50% for nearly all of Trump's presidency, according to Pew. The latest survey shows 19% of Republicans and those who lean Republican are satisfied with the direction of the country. Only 19% of Republicans are satisfied with the direction of the country under a Republican president. That's not a thing that never happens, ever. Go to any administration post the Great Depression, and whenever there's a Democrat in control, probably over 50% of Democrats say, I like the direction of the country. Whenever there's a Republican in control, probably over 50% of Republicans say, I like the direction of the country. Only 19% of Republicans under a Republican administration are saying they like the direction of the country. Bro. Oh, he's getting hammered, son. Trump is getting hammered right now. What did I tell you guys? Trump is now going all in on this campaign strategy of, I'm going to talk about the statues. I'm going to talk about law and order. I'm going to talk about the culture war nonstop. And what did I tell you guys? That is going to ring so incredibly hollow because the culture war and the statues are an ancillary issue. When you have a pandemic that's still roaring and raging out of control. We just hit another record number for COVID cases the other day, probably another record today. Over 120,000 Americans dead. That's more than double the Americans that died in Vietnam. You have effectively a Great Depression with real unemployment over 20%, and you have tumultuous 1960s-style uprisings across the country. How can you look at those things and then go, I got it. I'm going to zero in on the freaking statues and on the culture war. And by the way, in the process of talking about those things, he doesn't do what a normal president would do, which is, let's bring the country together. Let's unify. Let's realize that we're all American. We're all in this together. We're going to find a way through this. We're going to do the right thing. Being like a consoler in chief. Hey, let me calm these rough waters. No. He fanned the flames of division. So, not only is he not focusing on the right things, he's focusing on the wrong thing and doing the wrong strategy in regards to the wrong thing. What did you think was going to happen? Now listen, if you're a hardcore Fox News viewer, yeah, you're in that 19% that's going to say, I think he's doing a great job and I like this approach. But people aren't in the bubble as much as you are. The only people who look at this and think it makes sense are people who are so deep in that Republican bubble, where all they care about is the statues. All they care about is the culture war. They eat, sleep, and breathe the culture war. They pretend to hate the culture war when they love the culture war. They bask in it 24/7. Your normie average American, I'm sorry, but it's true. The culture war is an ancillary issue. Now, I get it. Even some lefties would say that's not fair. They think the culture war is just as big of an issue as the right-wingers do. That's because you're in it, and you're part of it, and you're super political. Your normal average American is going, how do I pay these damn bills, bro? My son got laid off. My mom got laid off. We have an uncle who has COVID. I'm afraid to go to the damn grocery store. It's raging out of control in my area. I can't afford the bills. This is what regular people are thinking about. They're thinking about unemployment. They're thinking about wages. They're thinking about COVID. And the president's out there. He just tweeted this thing today where he's talking about, it's like a minute-long video or something. It's him in front of the White House talking, pretending to be Mr. Presidential. And he's like, I just signed an executive order, 10 years for defacing a statue. 10 years for defacing a statue. Bro, we got a foreclosure and eviction crisis that's about to hit right now, skis. Right now. Right now. What are you doing right now? What are you doing? 20% unemployment. What are you doing? Fucking statues? Executive orders on statues. Jesus Christ. He's losing it, man. He's losing it. He lost his political instinct. See, the thing in 2016, now he may have just stumbled on the right strategy in 2016, but it was the right strategy. The strategy was crooked Hillary, crooked Hillary, crooked Hillary. She's corrupt. She's the status quo. I'm the outsider. I'm going to make sure your job doesn't get shipped overseas. That's what I'm going to do. I'm against outsourcing. I'm against NAFTA. I'm against TPP. I'm against the Iraq war. I'm not going to send people to die overseas. I'm not going to keep them over there. I'm going to stop the wars. This was his strategy. It was a powerful strategy because it was kind of true that Hillary was the embodiment of the establishment and she's business as usual. He painted her as business as usual and he won. Barely. With the perfect strategy, he barely won. This time, he's nowhere near a perfect strategy. I mean, this is like turning over your campaign strategy to the B team hosts at Fox News. This is like if Brian Kilmeade was your campaign manager. And you don't realize that this is a problem, that you moved away from the bread and butter issues. The bread and butter issues are the things that matter to the overwhelming majority of Americans, especially the ones who are not super political and plugged in. But you're talking about statues and the culture war. That's what you're talking about. Embarrassing. Of course you're going to lose in this respect. And again, Biden doesn't have to do anything. Just let the guy keep talking because he's not focusing on the right things. Now he just pretends like COVID doesn't exist. So here we go. Listen, as of right now, there's no other way to say this. We're heading towards a one-term Trump presidency, but also, more importantly, a landslide loss for Trump at the moment. Now, that can change because the whole race is incredibly volatile, but it would need to be like a couple debates where Trump just hammers Biden and exposes him. And that's possible, but it's hard for any president, no matter how politically savvy, to overcome a pandemic and a depression. It's just so hard to overcome that. How can you overcome that? You can be the most politically skilled in the world, but people will ask themselves the basic question, am I better off now than I was 4 years ago? And the answer is going to be no. So what are you going to do? How are you going to override that? Good luck with that. Actually, no. I don't wish you good luck with that at all, because I'm not a fan.